Alright, should be streaming. So another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com also, video presentation. So this video I tried to go into Reddit. It's not a place I had played before. I don't really like any of these forums, these moderated forums, because none of them respect anything like free speech. They all are terrible censoring morons. They dox people. There's insanely rude and obnoxious people. But anyway, so I did notice that Reddit had this Ask Physics kind of category. I read their little rules, try to stay within their rules, and within 2 hours, they had to censor me. 2 hours. It's not. It's bad enough to get you to find people that are interested in a subject and willing to discuss it, and that's hard enough to get. And then when you get people interested and they are discussing it, for somebody to close the discussion like that person somehow knows better what people should talk about, and they need to actually shut down the conversation. And you're saying, why do they need to shut down a conversation people are interested in having or are willing to have? If they're willing to have the conversation, why wouldn't you just let them have the conversation? Why this censorship? What the hell is this shit? I don't want to do this. I don't want that. Whatever, top fans. I don't want any top fans. How do I get out of that nonsense? Got it. Whatever getting it is, I don't want to get it. Anyway, what the hell they do here? I don't want top fans. Get me out of that. Silly crap. I mean, why does everything have to have silly crap in it? Reactions. Jesus. So much of this stuff is just so childish. You're saying, what the hell? Are there no adults on this planet? Alright, so anyway. So I'll read through what took place. And it's just, it's just one asshole. Just like a Wikipedia. All you need to do is in some way offend one of these people who think they're God. And that's the end of the conversation. And it's, it's just insipid. And it really shouldn't be this way. And nobody should want an internet that's run this way. Who's voting for this? I mean, who's defending scientists afraid of arguments? I mean, it's just so bad. So anyway, so if anybody has a Reddit account, I would appreciate some support. Maybe just repost my question. And see if we could repost it a few times and see what would happen. And give me the link to it so I can answer everybody's replies. Because I'm perfectly willing to answer their replies and politely answer their replies. But I mean, this is a perfectly valid question, perfectly valid physics argument. And it's just such bullshit. All right, so anyway. So I titled it Newton versus Kinetic Energy. Right, you can see that, right? Yeah. All right, and so I said, physics says it takes 4 times the force to double a velocity. The first sentence under the second law, Newton says twice the force, twice the motion, 3 times the force, 3 times the motion. Have you ever seen any physical real experiment where it requires 25 times the fuel or force to move something 5 times as fast? Now that seems a fair question. Has anybody seen any evidence showing this 25 to 5 ratio or the 100 to 10 ratio? I could go higher and higher. Has anyone seen this? An actual experiment with this is what actually takes place. It actually does require 25 times the fuel to spin something 5 times as fast. I mean, it obviously doesn't happen with generators. If I spin an electric generator twice as fast, I only get twice the electricity, the wattage. Anyway, can you link me to an experiment showing something like 9 times the force to go 3 times as fast? Question mark. So the fair questions. It's a real subject. Obviously, I've been pleading for this evidence for 10 years now. So it's clearly not trolling. I'm not doing this to troll anybody. Anyway, it says here, sorry, this post has been removed by the moderators, and it wasn't moderators, I don't think, of Ask Physics. So there should be some accountability. Who decided this person shouldn't be allowed to speak? I mean, it's just such bullshit. All right, so this is just a commercial. All right. So engineering, I don't know what that says. I don't know what that means anyway. So this is all these people have terrible names, by the way. To double holy home or something, and they got these disgusting icons. Anyway, it takes 4 times the energy to double the speed. So he just says it as a declaration. So even though Newton says that, no, it only takes twice. He says and he says force is not energy. It's like, okay, says you. A single constant force can impart any amount of energy that you'd like. So Newton doesn't know what a force is. So you're basically saying that Newton was being completely irrational because force doesn't have any measurable magnitude. A force isn't a magnitude of anything. I mean, that's what he's saying. These are all objectionable statements. We all don't have to believe that. I think clearly Newton was saying it's ever proportional. That's the words he actually used in the second law. Ever proportional. The force is ever proportional. Yeah. Obviously, it's a real thing. It's just such, it's so obnoxious a lie, And so I was polite enough, and I said, force is not energy. I quoted that. Who declared this a fact? What do you say Newton meant when he says twice the force, twice the motion? So, and I wasn't even able to read this comment, I don't think, before they cut it off. Let's see what so it says the definitions of force and energy declare it as fact. So, I didn't get a reply to that. So my comment was a reply to something else here. All right. What Newton said was that force... Oh, no, I did reply because this guy's telling us again that F equals ma. And we all know that that's not what Newton said. So he says right here, what Newton said was that force equals mass times acceleration. Newton didn't say that. That's just an absolute fact. So do we all have to pray to these non-facts? I mean, we all have to accept they tell us it's a fact when he didn't say it. It didn't happen. It's not part of history. It's not a frickin' fact. Why do I have to believe what they can't demonstrate to be a fact? All right, anyway, which has nothing directly to do with speed or energy. So the whole idea that force isn't a word is just idiotic. Like, somehow force isn't a concept. It's an ambiguous definition. Force doesn't mean anything. It can never be ever proportional to anything. Even though Newton said it's ever proportional, it can't be by their definition. All right, let's see what the chatters have to say. People believe 9.8 meters is Newton's formula when there's no... Well, yeah, obviously the second squared part is the problem. The 9.8 meters per second, that's Newton. But it's per 1 second. All right, you ever believe time is a squared function, yet they keep forcing it as if he came up with it. Yeah, I mean, these are overt lies. They can't be called anything else. And these people are using these lies to say, because I don't believe these lies, I'm a flat earther, or I have an undefendable position because I don't believe something they can't demonstrate to be a fact. It's clearly not a fact. There's 10 honest people on this planet that'll tell you it's not a fact. Newton didn't write it. He didn't say it. All right. All right, continuing. Ooh, I didn't want that to happen. Okay, good. All right, so he said here, what Newton said was that force equals mass times acceleration. I say to that, well, that's not actually true. He never said anything like that. The quote I provided is accurate. Newton said twice the force, twice the motion, 3 times the force, 3 times the motion. Okay, I thought that was more to my comment than that. Well, it's all right. So this one I didn't get to reply to because they've closed the thread. So he says Newton's Principia Mathematica translated says this for the second law. So again, I've already quoted the second law. I've already quoted what he said right under it. Those statements are absolutely accurate. There is no statement here. This second law does not say anything like. There's no word acceleration in the second law. There's no concept of acceleration. It doesn't say anything about acceleration. It doesn't say F equals ma in any way whatsoever. So again, the change in motion of an object is proportional. He says ever proportional, so you don't even quote it correctly. He clearly says ever proportional, is ever proportional to the force impressed and is made in the direction of a straight line in which the force is impressed. That is not even a complete statement, because obviously, yes, it's more than regardless of direction part. He took that part out too. So he's not even accurately quoting the goddamn text. So, just lie some more. I mean, these are people who have authority to tell other people to shut up on the subject of science, and they can't say a damn sentence. They can't write a damn paragraph that isn't a fucking lie. This is just as bad as Wikipedia. This is just bullshit. Why do people who have any interest in science think this is the way forums on science should be run? That these fascist fuckers should be controlling what people can talk about? Why should these fascist motherfuckers have control of your speech? Why are you allowing that, you pieces of scum? Don't you have any integrity at all? Anyway. So the change in motion acceleration is proportional to the force impressed. And again, that's exactly what momentum says. That's the definition of momentum, moron. All right, with the constant of proportion being the mass of the object. Well, obviously we know we're not changing the mass of the object. So again, force equals mass times acceleration. It's not his law. He didn't say it. He didn't write it. He didn't think it. It's just a lie to say he did. And theoretically they're vectors, so it should be force equals mass times, but it's still. What is that? But still. What does that even mean? But still. It's not even a complete sentence. So where's the argument here? Where does it say anything in that fucking law? Does it say anything about anything called an F equals ma? Where's the word acceleration in there at all? Oh, that's right. It's not there. All right. Let's see. Force times velocity equals power. So then once again on the let's waste time talking about power. It has nothing to do with the subject. Power is integrated over time equals energy. So again, what is this over time equals energy? What does that mean? Power integrated over time equals energy. Says you. Where's your experiment? Where's your demonstration of it being true? Oh, that's right. They don't have one. So I said, I'm seeking credible experimental show me evidence. Can you provide a link to anything like that? All right. So this asshole says, he's, some little kid thing. Reddit theory. Reddit Harry? Yeah, whatever. Henry? Is that what it is? Reddit Henry? I think you don't understand force versus energy. Yeah, of course I don't. Yeah, because it's nonsense. It's gibberish. Who does understand it? Newton clearly didn't understand what your distinction you're making. Newton clearly thought force was energy. Alright, so Newton clearly said force carries proportional motion. Proportional motion. Are you saying Newton didn't understand? So again, I didn't get a reply to this next comment. So again, more stuff I didn't get to reply to. Newton said force is proportional to acceleration, not motion. So again, that's just a lie, right? Is there any point in going any further? He clearly said the word fucking motion. I mean, these are direct quotes from the sentence right under the second law, and this asshole saying, no, that's not true, when of course it is true. So he's saying right here, Newton said force is proportional to acceleration. That's an absolute lie. That's not what he said. And he said not motion, when he did say motion. He used the word fucking motion. He did not use the word acceleration. So again, it's just lying. I mean, it's just lying. It's just disgusting that they can do this. And I can't even fight back now. Kinetic energy is proportional to motion squared. Says you. I'm saying you don't understand what you're talking about. I'm saying you don't understand, and you're clearly a liar to boot. So again, he's just repeating the same mantras. If you use unit analysis, so again, more bullshit, you see that it's trivially clear. No, it isn't trivially clear at all. This fake notion that somehow newtons are different than joules, when we can know you can convert joules into newtons. So again, more lying. All right, it's just an absolute fact. Okay, 10 newtons to a joule. With a restate, you can say kinetic energy is proportional to force times distance. So again, says you. There's absolutely no evidence. I'm asking you to show me an experiment that shows any of this crap to be true. I asked you to show me or just tell me that you've seen any evidence. And you won't even answer the simple, direct questions. Have you seen 25 times the fuel used to move something 5 times as fast somewhere? Do you have ever seen it in your whole fucking dumb life, you creepy little lying piece of shit? Have you ever seen it? I'm asking you. Show me. No, you won't do that. Instead, you'll insult my intelligence by regurgitating, restating shit that is absolutely is provably wrong, that Newton never said. So you just keep ignoring the subject. It's amazing that this is what science defenders are like. This is the, and then they'll go and insult flat earthers when this is flat science. They're just defending dogma, okay, unevidenced, silly dogmas, and telling us we all must believe. All right, this moron. I mean, this statement is just idiotic. Look into drag racing trap speed calculators. Why would I bother with that? I mean, drag racing has to do with putting your brakes on, spinning your back wheels, 1,000 revolutions per minute, burning up a ton of rubber, wasting it for no good reason, having it actually pile up, the melted rubber, okay, and then allowing something to move. I mean, it's just retarded how this would be a measure of energy. All right, a typical formula is miles per hour equals 234. I wonder where they got that. Times HP divided by weight divided by 1/3. I don't know what that is. This is just idiotic crap. To go 3 times as fast, we need 27 times the power. So this is even worse, right? This is even more preposterously insane. So this asshole is saying if I spin a drill 3 times as fast, I've used 27 times the electricity. Yeah, of course I haven't. Let's see. But we only need 9 times the energy. So I don't know. The power and energy are not in the same quantities. So a unit of power isn't a unit of energy. I mean, again, ridiculous. Since that higher power is applied for 1/3 of the time, just more nonsense. So we know there's always just a net amount of energy. There's a net amount of gasoline the fucking car burns, moron. All right. You could, of course, verify the formula by building race cars. Yeah, or you could, after 350 years, provide a piece of evidence for your Jesus walking on water fable. Your silly fable for which there's zero physical evidence, all right, that you're insisting somebody else must believe. And you can't produce a single shred of physical evidence. God, what deplorable pukes. All right, so I said, I guess you're conceding you can't show me any experimental evidence. So it appears that this is the guy that blocked me, I guess. Yeah. That it takes 9 times the fuel to go 3 times as fast, or 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast, etc., etc. And so, yeah, so this guy is the one who blocked me, I guess. Top 1% commenter. And he says, go troll somewhere else. You're not asking questions in good faith. So what did I say that deserves to have the conversation shut down? What in here makes it possible for them to say they've so demonstrated they're right and I'm wrong, they've so proven the case and I'm just trolling or I'm just wasting people's time? How did they demonstrate any fact? How did they prove anything here? How did they make a fair argument when all they did was lie about what Isaac Newton said and lie about what you can observe race cars to actually produce as an outcome? There's no racetrack somewhere where I could go to the pit crew and they're going to tell me, yeah, it takes 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. There's no racetrack on this fucking planet where the pit crew is going to say that. Oh, these people are so despicable. All right, the amount of energy required to change the velocity of an object is intrinsic to calculations for changing the trajectories of spacecrafts. So again, when this, it's so ironic. Well, I'll just finish reading his comment, then I'll do mine. But I mean, it's just so ironic. To achieve a certain delta V, the fuel required is consistent with Newton's law, stating that the energy required to change velocity is proportional to the difference in the squares of the initial and the final velocity. So it isn't. It's just a fucking lie. Anyway, if this weren't true, spacecraft could never end up where we want them to. So it's just a fucking flat out lie. It's not how it works. spacecraft only account for momentum. You only get an equal and opposite reaction to momentum. You get no equal and opposite reaction to kinetic energy. That's the absolute fact. So anyway, so he says the amount of energy required to change the velocity of an object is intrinsic to the calculations for changing the trajectories of spacecraft. I say this isn't true. Spacecraft thrusters prove the failure of kinetic energy. Only the momentum of the thrust produces an equal and opposite reaction. Calculating kinetic energy of thrust will not land you on the moon. That's the absolute truth. No one's ever accounted for this argument. I've been making it for years now. It's a slam dunk evidence against the existence of kinetic energy. It's the very fact that you can't push something in space. In the void of empty space, you can't push something with kinetic energy and have it work. It won't. All right? Push something with the energy you claim to have pushed it with. All right, to achieve a certain delta V, the fuel required, blah, blah, blah. And I say, sorry, I don't think you can back up your statements as truth. Whatever you eject from a spacecraft, you can only receive an impulse equal to the momentum. And these are absolute fact. All right, and this asshole sits there and comes back with the term dude, okay, this puke, term, fuck you. Just give yourself, call yourself a generic insulting term, okay? I could use the F word or any word you want to choose. Because that's what you are, you little fuck. Conservation of energy is the most fundamental law in physics. So again, I'm the one defending conservation of momentum. That's the fundamental law. And your physics doesn't conserve it. You lying sack of little smelly shit. You can compute the final kinetic energy. So again, there's no evidence of any of this shit. They're just computing a big fake number. I didn't ask for a computation. I asked to see any experimental evidence indicating any hope that this crap is true. All right? We're still waiting on the lying scum Blue Moonshine to produce the experiment he said he was going to do, where he's going to do the 4 rubber band experiment and show that it takes 4 rubber bands to move something twice as fast. But anyway, I mean, these people are just such liars. Okay. The final kinetic energy of a spacecraft from its initial kinetic energy and the energy released in burning its fuel. So again, you didn't say anything. You didn't prove anything. You didn't demonstrate anything. You're just saying, I have to believe you know what thrusters do, and thrusters do this. They don't do what you're claiming. They don't transfer kinetic energy. To be strictly accurate, you have to account for the inefficiencies of the combustion process. No, we're not combusting anything. We're going to use rubber bands. We use some of their ejecting process. Okay, but combustion doesn't fail either. It's just an absolute fact that it doesn't matter what fuel you use. You will not use 5 times the fuel to go 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. You're only going to use 5 times the fuel. That's what's going to happen in space. And the rocket nozzle, but to a first approximation, it's pretty close. So you just say so. You piece of garbage. You lying sack of shit. You censoring lying sack of fucking goddamn shit. Alright, so whatever this stupid name is, Kamikaze Acorn or something. You seem to be confusing force and energy, so that's a standard bullshit statement, as well as velocity and acceleration. So there's no evidence I've confused anything. I didn't speak of acceleration at all. I spoke of twice the motion, which that would be velocity. And what I did was directly quoted Isaac Newton and just wished that you would explain to me what Isaac Newton meant by twice the force, twice the motion, 3 times the force, 3 times the motion. If he didn't mean 3 times the force, what did he mean? All right, doubling force is an object on an object doubles the imparted acceleration. So, yeah, so what? Twice the acceleration is only going to get you twice the velocity. That's exactly what Newton's saying. Doubling and that's not 4 times the velocity, and it certainly didn't take you 4 times the energy to get twice the velocity. Doubling the velocity of an object quadruples its kinetic energy. So you say so. You don't show so. There's no reasoning, no logic for me to believe so. Why should I believe that's true, and how is that consistent with what Newton directly says? So if Newton says twice the force is twice the motion and 3 times the force is 3 times the motion, how have you proven him silly or stupid or wrong? Oh, that's right. You haven't said a damn thing to indicate Newton was wrong and you were right. But you're still clearly saying you believe different than he does. All right, can you link me to an experiment showing something like 9 times the energy to go 3 times as fast? So that's exactly what I said in the beginning. Now, this was just nothing. So this is some sort of stupid blog with a bunch of types of experiments you could do. No evidence whatsoever on the page. So just a waste of time. And so I point out, I don't see any actual relevant experiment with any actual measurements on the link you provided. Can you provide something like a YouTube video? Okay, and so it says here, I literally posted above. No, you literally didn't post anything above. There's nothing on the page. So I'll show the page. There's no relevant experiment on the page. Just an absolute fact. There's no relevant experiment on the page. Let's see, can you see that? I guess you can. What is this? I don't want all this. It's got all this crap on here too. You know, you can't even look at something. So this is it. There's no experiment. There's no indication of experiment. It just talks about having a cart and rolling it. So there's absolutely nothing here. These fake little bumpers. There's no indication. No way to measure any of this. This is a toy, a kid's toy. All right, and the rest of the experiments are all other kind of kids' toys. None of this has anything to do with measuring anything. There's absolutely. This is not a crash test. This is not a measured test. It's nothing. It's garbage. And he has no business implying that somehow answers the question. There's no answer there. All right. You can do the experiment to prove it yourself at home. Throw a ball in the air. Measure the energy of the ball when you throw it. So in 350 years, you don't have to do any experiments. So you don't ever have to prove this thing to be true. I have to prove it not to be true. That's your theory of how religion works, right? You don't have to prove your religion. I have to disprove your religion. I have to prove your God doesn't exist. You don't have to prove he does exist. I have to prove he doesn't exist. Wow, you're just too fucking stupid if you can't figure out that's hypocrisy and duplicity. That you have no business making an assertion that I have to believe something that you can't show real evidence as to being true. You piece of shit. All right, so then this is a top 1% commenter again. It has instructions to perform your own experiment. So again, I'm asking for evidence that this is what they provide. For example, the ball roll or the cup drop experiment. So again, what is this? So here we have a real experiment anyway. So let's go see what this is. But we know it's not going to be anything. Okay, we already know it's going to be crap. Waste of time. So we have a 3-minute and 27-second video. We know this video is not going to have any of this evidence. So it's not going to be any evidence of 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. We know we're not going to get anything like that. So this one I've seen.